Hi everyone, this is Alex Reby here, immigration attorney with Osorio. Today we're going to be talking about the CBP One Application, Customs and Border Patrol One Application. What is this application? Why is it important, especially for anybody who's trying to enter the United States? On May 11th, 2023, President Biden announced a new rule that says that in order to be able to seek asylum in the United States, you essentially have to come into the United States lawfully, or you would have to merit an enumerated exception. When at the border with the United States and Mexico, there is a mechanism by which somebody can request an appointment at the border with a U.S. immigration official who will then screen you initially have an initial kind of chat with you about asylum and your reasons for wanting to come into the United States, and then potentially give you permission to enter the United States. And the way that somebody can go about getting that appointment at the port of entry at the border is through the CBP One app. So it's an application on your cell phone. So on your cell phone, on everyone's cell phone, in the App Store, you can look for a CBP One application. And then what happens is you download that application, and then you're able to every day try and get an appointment with the immigration officials at the border. You can only get that appointment between 12 p.m. and 11:59 p.m. So it doesn't work in the middle of the night. You can't be up, at 4 o'clock in the morning trying to get an appointment, because they won't do it. If you're awarded an appointment, if you're able to get an appointment, you will be notified the next day. If you're not notified that you received an appointment, you can try every single day while you're at, typically people are in Mexico, to try and get an appointment. If you enter the United States after having gotten this appointment, then your case proceeds as normal. You're typically issued what's called a notice to appear, and you can appear and then you'd appear in immigration court, and you can apply for asylum for yourself and for your family. If you come in without permission, like you sneak in, then you're apprehended while you're already in the United States, and this happens after May 11th, 2023, then you may be barred from asking for asylum. Now, there might be other options, okay? So I'm not saying, okay, give up hope, that's it, you don't qualify for anything. There's other types of applications like withholding of removal, protection against the Convention Against Torture. Those are similar to asylum that you could potentially apply for. But as a matter of course, if you do not come into the United States either paroled in, using the CBP One app, another lawful means, and this happens after May 11th, 2023 that you entered, you would be barred from seeking asylum. Now, the exceptions are if you had an acute medical emergency. So say you had a medical emergency and you had to come into the United States because you needed to go to the hospital or something like that, then that would be an exception. If you were the victim of a severe form of human trafficking, so labor or sex trafficking, like someone was trafficking you and then forcing you to work, forcing you to have sexual relations, then that might be an exception. Or if you were an imminent threat of danger, you were an imminent threat of your life being put in danger, of being raped, of being severely attacked, assaulted, and this occurred in Mexico, then you would be eligible for the exception. Obviously, you also could be eligible if you applied for asylum in that country and you were not granted asylum, or if you're seeking asylum from Mexico, then you would be exempted. But other than that, you're supposed to use the CBP One app. So again, I'm not suggesting that if you already entered after May 11th, 2023, you should give up hope because you're not eligible for asylum. It didn't say that. What I am saying is that it does make the case, there isn't this extra hurdle, and it does make it more difficult. So wherever possible, CBP One app is preferable. I understand that it can be very difficult to get appointments. You might also want to screenshot trying to get an appointment every single day for 2 weeks, just to show that this was really an impossibility for you. You either want to use the CBP One app. If you haven't or you can't, then, be prepared that if you do have what's called a credible fear interview, or eventually when you have your asylum hearing or asylum interview, you often would be asked, if you entered after May 11th, 2023, these particular questions about the exception. Was your life threatened? Were you forced to do any kind of, work while you were in Mexico? Were you suffering any acute medical emergency? And if the answer to all that is no, and you have no exception, then you would qualify for something called withholding of removal as opposed to asylum, which is similar, but the benefits aren't as good because it's not a pathway to a green card and doesn't permit you to apply for your relative. Or you'd be eligible for Convention Against Torture if your life is more likely than not that you would be tortured if you returned to your home country. So that's the CBP One app. It's not typically enough to say, oh, I didn't know about it. I didn't know I had to use it. So that's typically not going to be enough to warrant an exception. So, definitely spread the word about it. I realize they're very difficult appointments to get. So everyone has to make the choices that are best for themselves and their family in terms of whether to enter the United States or not if you're not able to get an appointment. However, everyone should know that this program exists. And if there's a possibility to try and obtain an appointment, then that will often facilitate an easier way to claim asylum. Obviously, asylum has many components in order to win the case. It's not, were you allowed to enter using the CBP One app? Okay, now you get asylum. Not saying that either, but it would be an extra obstacle if you entered unlawfully after May 11th, 2023. So that's the CBP One app. If anybody has any questions, always feel free to chat us, call us, email us, text us, or visit us on our social media. Thank you so much for your attention.